Good morning. It is Sunday and today I'm going to do some garden jobs, so I thought I'd bring you along with me. It's just going to be a very slow, easy day today in the garden. As you can see, we're still getting absolutely spectacular weather. Look at that beautiful blue sky. But yeah, so as I said, I've just got a few garden jobs to do today. As it's winter, everything's growing a little bit slower, so there's not too much that has to happen. I need to fertilise, I've got a little bit of cutting back to do. I need to cut some stuff from the kitchen garden to make some lunches for the week. But yeah, so I thought I would take you along while I'm doing those things. I might also just give you a very quick garden update, given that we're now in winter. As you can see, everything is still looking really lush, which is nice. The lemons are almost ready. You can see that one right there, almost there. But yes, everything's just looking amazing, and you can see the arch over here is just about to erupt into these beautiful orange flowers. Look at those. So you can see all of so in probably a couple of weeks now, this will be full of those orange flowers. You can see all the buds coming up all over. It's going to be absolutely spectacular when it all blooms. What else has been happening in the garden? The peach tree used to be in this location. I've just moved it back up here. I don't think it was getting enough sun in this location with the lemon and the orange trees, so I have just moved it back. You can see that it has started to lose all of its leaves for winter. So that's it here. And then you can see here, this is the white crepe myrtle. When I showed you this a couple of weeks ago, she still would have had a lot of her green leaves, but now that we're in winter, she has definitely lost all of her leaves. I'll try and get a different angle. That's a bit better. But yeah, now that the crepe myrtle has lost all of her leaves, what I'll do is quite a hard prune back, so I'll cut all of these branches and things off so that next summer when she buds out and gets her fresh life of leaves, she'll have room to sort of grow all the way out. So if I step back a little bit, you can see she sort of spreads out and fills this whole bed here, similar to what I have done so I would have showed you. So this one here, this is the red crepe myrtle. You would have seen that in a previous garden video. So this crepe myrtle had also lost all of its leaves, and I've just done quite a hard prune, cutting back all the branches, just so that when spring and summer come and they start to bud back out, they sort of will grow all new branches and have all new leaves, and they'll bloom in all the new wood. But yeah, so not too much happening in the garden at this point, at this time of year. rightio, we might just get stuck into the gardening jobs. I've just harvested a bunch of kale, some spring onions and some cucumbers, and I thought I would just show you how the beetroot is coming along. So you can see down here the little beetroots growing. So they're definitely not ready for harvest yet, but we've definitely got some coming through, which is great. And I think I mentioned in a previous video, I have tried to do some succession planting here, so you'll see beetroots like this one here were planted quite a little while ago now, whereas I've got some smaller ones here, and I might try and start some from seed as well in the next week or so, just so we've got that succession coming through. The other thing that's just starting to come through are the green beans. So if you see here, you can see that they've got these beautiful delicate little flowers, and then the flowers drop off, and this here is a little baby green bean. If I can get the camera to focus. That's a little bit better. But yeah, so we've got quite a few green beans coming through. See some there, we've got some up here, but in a couple of weeks we'll be able to harvest green beans. Oh, that one's getting quite big. You can see this one here. So I'll show you in a couple of weeks once they've come all the way through and they're ready for harvest. I don't think in my previous garden video I explained sufficiently what the beehive was doing in my garden, so I might just give you a bit more of an in-depth explanation of that now. So some companies that cut down trees actually inspect the trees first to see if there are any beehives within the trunk. If there are, they actually cut down the trees in such a way that it preserves the beehive within its original trunk. From there, in our case with this particular hive, the hive is given to a gentleman in the city. He then on-sells the hives to people who would like to adopt them and pop them in their backyards. We adopted this hive about 3 or 4 years ago, and they've been with us ever since. I like to think it's because they're very happy. We don't interfere with the hive at all, so we don't stop them from leaving. If they wanted to swarm and leave, they certainly could. We don't harvest honey or anything like that from them. There is no access within the hive. We can't see in there to what they're doing or anything like that. They basically pollinate the flowers in our gardens, and quite frankly, they're just utterly delightful to watch. If you're working in the yard, you can often see them in the flowers, you know, harvesting all the pollen, or if you're working close to the beehive, you can watch them sort of coming in and out as I'm showing you now. They're busy little bees. But yeah, so we've had them for about 3 or 4 years. They're rescue bees. I do think, as sad as it is that their original tree was cut down, at least the companies are trying to preserve the hives so that we can continue conservation efforts with bees. But yeah, so these are our little bees, and yeah, they're brilliant, and we try the best we can to make sure that we've got great flowers for them throughout the year. We make sure we plant flowers that are good for pollinators and things like that, so that they've got things to harvest throughout the entire year. Because we have quite mild temperatures here, our bees actually don't hibernate or anything like that for winter. So we're actually in winter now, and as you can see, they're very busy. But yeah, and so you can just see this here is their original tree trunk that they would have been in the forest, and that was preserved with their hive within it. And then the gentleman just pops these wood, so there's a wooden top there that you can see, and there's one down the bottom as well, and that just stops the water from getting into the trunk and then rotting the trunk and potentially killing the hive. So the next thing I want to do today is fertilize the fruit trees and the vegetables. So this is the fertilizer that I use. It's a 5-in-1 organic fertilizer. You just need 2 cupfuls in a 9-litre watering can, particularly if it's established. So if you've got new vegetables or seedlings, you use less than that. So the instructions are all on the back there. I just give it a bit of a shake up, and then 2 cupfuls in here, and then I fill the watering can with water. So I've had this seed packet for a little while, and I am in a subtropical planting zone, so I can actually plant these seeds now. So it's just sort of a cottage garden flower mix, and it's for beneficial insects. So because I've got the bees here, I just thought this would be really nice in some of the areas where I've got little gaps and things like that in the dirt. So I thought in this area here, because it does get a fair amount of sun, and then potentially where I've got the gap where the peach tree was moved. So maybe in here, I'll just sort of see the dimensions on the flowers. It says it goes up to 90 centimeters, which might be too high for that space because it'll block sunlight from the peach tree, which we don't want. So I'll see. So I'm just gonna sort of scrape up the soil a little bit here, watching out for the irrigation. I'm keen to sort of plant them, just the seeds, in one sort of spot so I can keep an eye on how they're growing and I don't accidentally weed them. But yeah, so I'm just going to sprinkle some here. And it's just a mix of sort of Australian native florals that are great for pollinators. And then if I just sort of cover it back over a little bit, hopefully some of that will come up. I will keep you updated to see how it grows. So I might put some there, and I may also just plant some seeds here, just off of this little path here. So again, I can keep an eye on them. It's also got an irrigation little sprinkler there, so hopefully that will keep it watered well. But I'll just do the same thing. I'm just going to sort of rake up the dirt a little bit. And then I'm just going to sprinkle some seeds. I'm not being too precious about how I do this. We'll just see what comes from it. Okay. And then I'll just use the same dirt just to cover it back up. And there you go. So I'll keep an eye on these seeds just over the next couple of weeks, and hopefully we'll get something that blooms from that, and we'll see little sprouts. So as I said previously, I'll keep you updated on how these grow, but fingers crossed they grow really well, because it looks very pretty on the packet, and I just think it'd be lovely to have some sort of wildflowers in certain little patches of the garden, and it'll be amazing for the bees as well. So fingers crossed these do well. So just lastly today, I'm going to water in those flower seeds that I planted, and while I'm out here I also might just quickly water the vegetables and the fruit trees so I don't have to come back out later. But yes, then that will be it for today. So I hope you've enjoyed just coming along with me today for this sort of slow, easy garden chores, and also having a little bit of an update from the winter garden, and also a better explanation of our adopted beehive.